Thanks for having me. This is always such a treat to be in this crowd. It's such a diverse, unique, interesting crowd, tied together by this loose web of common interests. And I think the show of hands earlier showed us a good chunk of people from each different sector, the other sector, the healthcare sector, the tech sector. It's nice. I want to talk about what we do at work, the environments we set up, because generally another thing we all have in common is we're passionate about what we do. We innovate, we work on interesting projects, and I don't think we match the passion with which we build our business systems and do our work with the way that we spend our time in our offices. I think that's still pretty broken for a lot of us. So let's explore a little bit about what we can do to improve the physiological state we're in when we're working. The purpose of which is to, well, be healthy, be happy, increase productivity. I think we often spend all our time in intellectual development and think very little about how we can leverage our physiological state to enhance our productivity and performance. So, one thing I wanted to start with was the principles that I believe are universal amongst all people, different shapes and sizes, ages, that are important to facilitate a healthy work environment. The first of which is activity, movement. We all are guilty of being sedentary from time to time, some more than others. Some jobs require it. Generally, most don't. And if we get a little creative, we can fix this problem. I believe intuitively we all want to move. We all need to move, and we feel better, we're more productive, and we perform when we move. So getting out of this habit of sticking ourselves in one position and associating our productivity and performance with being sedentary is not too difficult. I think you can use very rudimentary innovations, technology, and equipment to accomplish this. I think anything from a single monitor arm to be able to change the position that you're working in without even missing a keystroke can make a big difference. But ultimately, the details of how you do this, I won't ramble on about. The important feature is that if you create flexibility for yourself to move through different work positions, that's a significant upgrade from sticking yourself in one position, at a desk, at a computer. Whether it's sitting, standing, moving around, sitting on a bicycle or treadmill, it doesn't matter. The point is that if you give yourself the flexibility, you'll use it. The other thing that's universal is we need a diversity. So when we do one thing for very long, our productivity, our steam, we diminish. And the way to mitigate that is to create diverse environments, microenvironments. So whether it's being really active followed by frequent intervals of being at rest, at play, there's some really intense value to having the opportunity to intermittently break up the work sessions you're involved in with things that are exceptionally different from the way you're going about your work. So I think even having 3 different work positions by being active is a way of being diverse. That's a really low number. You can have all sorts of different workstations without any equipment. Using different furniture around the office, different ways to work is really easy. But also, never underestimate play and rest. I think we've all noticed the large trend of foosball tables and ping pong tables and other forms of toys and things to play. That's not a coincidence, and nor is that a perfect solution for everybody. But it's important to consider that that gives us a mental, social, intellectual break from what we're doing, which in turn, as we all know intuitively, enhances our performance when we're able to have short, intense bursts of productivity. Rest is also something that's a little bit taboo in most workplaces. Lying down is not something where most people are comfortable with. But I think understood in the right context, it should actually be encouraged. The other thing that's pretty universal is having a specialized, just focusing, putting a lot of effort into thinking about what you do best, what you do most, what's most important to you, and then trying to build your office space, the space you're using, to really accommodate that. So if it's meetings and collaborations and talks, soup up your boardroom, have a really good dynamic board, have standing meetings so they're really productive on time every time if you have a lot of meetings. If you're coding, have a really good ergonomic, flexible workstation with headphones so that all disruptions are minimal. Whatever it is that you do, focus on making it the best possible thing. You can work on improving your environments in a variety of different ways, with the acoustic environment, the lighting environment. There's a lot of ways that can impact physiological productivity from the outside in. Then there's the considerations of each individual person. We're all different, and we all have preferences. We have previous experiences. Some of us have susceptibilities, challenges to work through. These things I can't tell you about. They're different for everybody, so we have to ask. Ask good questions. I think a lot of us overlook this. It sounds really, really simple. It is really, really simple. We do this in our lives every day, but for a variety of reasons, there's sometimes a hesitation to speak frankly and directly about our desires and needs and our preferences, particularly when it's in terms of managing people. We make a lot of assumptions. We assume that the most productive way for you to work is this way, the way that these people work. And we neglect the opportunity to ask you, what works for you specifically? There's a lot of different ways you can ask this. Letting your compassion shine through and just feeling for the person, being invested in doing what you can to support that person, it'll come up, it'll come out. There are some guiding questions that you can take. People all have experience, and when you're driven to perform, you have passionate team members that are driven to succeed with you, collaborate, they're gonna be invested in being their most productive self, their optimal self for you, and they'll often know best how to do that. You just have to ask, and then you can support them. There's something that we also, I find, assume a lot, which is that catering to the specific needs of each individual that we work with is expensive, and I'm telling you it's not. If we find out and really just learn what, oh, there's a screen over here too. Too bad. Sorry guys, I've been ignoring you. So asking people what they want is actually really cost effective as a solution, because there's a lot of things that we do to support our team, our employees, that is very expensive. We make assumptions that, oh, people want good health benefits. Well, yeah, in general. But there's better options. If I ask, hey, John, what did you use your health benefits last? Oh, dental. Okay, that's the most important to you. How about we give you a flex plan with a big chunk to spend on dental? Great, that's going to make him really happy. Flex plans are a lot less expensive than broad-ranging, covering everything plans. So that's one opportunity. Then there's things like workstations. Office furniture is always a contentious issue. Do I buy this for this person? Are they really needing it? Do I have to upgrade their desk? And if you just find out what that specific person wants most, or what they work best with, then it ends up costing you less than doing a blanket suite. Not equipping your whole office with sit-stand desks. Find out who uses them. Find out how somebody works. If you find out that somebody has certain needs to spend their time taking care of a family member or whatever else, if you offer them the opportunity to work remotely, most people will take that up, and more remote workers means less office space. Office space is super expensive. So these are opportunities that come about only if you're really asking, and if you're asking questions and giving people the opportunity to share with you. There's also the little things that end up meaning a lot. If you ask somebody all about them, you just get to know them, take the time, invest in them, find out about their personality. What you'll learn is their preferences, their desires. If you ask, hey, John, what do you do on the weekends? Oh, I love to go to the Maple Leaf game. Give that guy Maple Leaf tickets for Christmas, and forget the foosball table, forget the ping pong table, forget the Christmas bonus. He'll be happier if he gets what you know he loves. So anyways, it's not more expensive. Then there's a few other things I thought worthy of mention. The Pomodoro method is, many of you might be familiar with it, it's basically a technique that uses 25-minute intense work sessions broken up by 3-minute breaks, roughly speaking. And you do 25 minutes, 25 minutes, 25 minutes with 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 3-minute break, and then a longer break, 15, 20-minute break. This is a way to optimize our productivity based on our neuroanatomy. The way we're wired, it's designed to have intense bursts of productivity with consistent breaks. This is something super simple, but again, we often neglect to take advantage of these simple strategies to optimize our use of our physiology. Sometimes I see people working and it's kind of like watching a Lamborghini on the 401 in rush hour in Toronto. It's so much wasted potential. I guess oh yeah. This is an odd thing to mention, but I think a lot of opportunities lie here. We have such a wonderful community in Toronto for so many things. Artists, musicians, lots of healthcare practitioners, tons of startups, lots of people just wanting to serve, wanting to share. Giving people the opportunity, just facilitating the opportunity for people of whatever your preferences are in your office to have people come in and enrich your workplace, share their knowledge, share their expertise, their products, their services. People do this for free. They're dying for the opportunity to do this for free. And all you really have to do is open the door and give them the chance. That's just an interesting little side thought. So I hope that sparked a little bit of thinking as to how we can make our workplaces a little more flexible, a little more accommodating, and more productive. Thanks for having me.
Any questions at all?
Well, hi, Jonas. Two trends that I see now coming in even to the workplace is yoga and nap time. Actually, in Japan, they run by the hour, actually specific nap cubicles. I'm from Spain, a country well, from 2 to 4, please don't call, because they are big lunch and a nap, right? And then they work from 4 to 9. They're happy and they're coming back. How do you see these trends coming in the US and Canada as well?
Great question. Thanks for asking it. I love the trend. I think it makes a lot of sense because the more we're able to break up the uninterrupted periods of doing whatever we're doing, the better off we're going to be, the more sustainably we're going to be energized, productive, and healthy and happy. And that's ultimately what's going to improve our bottom lines, is if we have healthy, happy, productive employees and team members. So I like this trend. In fact, I'm personally invested in facilitating and propagating it I open up these recharge centers in offices, and we provide services like that, massage and chiropractic and other treatments and yoga and meditation, these kind of things. So I think it's a wonderful trend. It's just a matter of organizations figuring out how to financially manage that. So whether it's running it through the benefits or leveraging their community members and having it volunteer-based. Some companies do, they find out that they have personal trainers, yoga instructors, musicians, meditation gurus in-house, and they leverage that. That's a great idea too. But I think it's a trend that there's very limited research on it, but the research that has been done, it supports even the economic value of wellness interventions like that.
Any other questions? Sure. That was actually a really great segue